Hmm. All the village council meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any additions, deletions, changes to the proposed agenda for this evening? My computer definitely decided it's not working tonight, so, okay. Go on vacation. Roll call?
President Schneider,
Present.
President Pro Tem Dyke, Councilmember Feldman,
Present.
Councilmember Glasser,
Present.
Councilmember Kuligowski,
Present.
Councilmember Powell, Councilmember Steffler.
Present.
Communications. So we have, once again, a monthly report from Lapeer County EMS. Want to mention to council, I have been in communication with Russell, the director of EMS. We scheduled to have a meeting. Just schedules interfered. Life gets in the way and other things. So we're supposed to have a meeting, but he wanted to update us. One of the things he pointed out to me, and he communicated with me because he wanted to respond to our discussion at our last meeting about EMS report, that the response time he wanted to point out included quite a number of responses that were not emergencies. So ambulance service was needed, but it wasn't a life and death situation. So he wanted to point that out. Anybody have any question or discussion about our EMS report? Being on, moving on to communication number 2, Great Lakes Water Authority proposed fiscal year 2025 water charges. Since no person who is a politically elected official wants to give bad news, Kim, could you tell us what the consequences are going to be for our water rates in 2025, because they always go up?
Yes, they did in fact increase the proposed change if the usage stays the same as it has been the last 12 months. It will increase our cost 2.81%.
And that's something that goes on every year, and something we don't have control over, since that's where we get our water from. And every year it goes up. And of course, Great Lakes Water Authority has its own capital improvement plan. So it is what it is. Okay, that's it for
So that's less than last year's. Last year's was 3.9, right? It was just below that 4-point threshold that they promised not to go over.
Correct. Well, according to them, and I base it on what our actual usage is, because there's a flat rate plus a usage charge. They're saying 3.11% increase. So it's $13,600 per month flat rate plus $12.04 per MCF, million cubic feet, I believe is what it is. So it is slightly lower than last year.
slight bit of good news. Okay, moving on to our consent agenda. Regular meeting minutes for the January 16th meeting. So everything's fine up to public comment time. I think, let's see here. Oh, here we go. So the first paragraph under public comment time for non-agenda items, Van Grooms who appeared before us, and the very end of the paragraph, I had indicated to him that he should, council indicated to him he should be in contact with Almont Township, since his concern regarding the intersection at Huff and Dyke and making a left-hand turn was a deadly endeavor, that he talk to not only to Almont Township, Lapeer, but Lapeer County Commissioner Brian Zinder. So, and an ER there, that'd be great. Somewhere in these comments talking about Facebook, and it says, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I think fourth paragraph down, there's comments by Councilmember Steffler requested that the ordinance be put on, the ordinance would say Facebook rather than the Facebook
Or the Facebook page.
E-face.
or Facebook page.
Okay.
Get rid of the. Okay. And my other editing will be addressed when we get to the resolution on social districting. So that's all I had for minutes. Anybody else on minutes? Okay. All right. And major streets, local streets, Parks and Recreation Fund, Downtown Development Authority Fund, Sewer Fund, Water Fund, Equipment Fund, Payroll Register Report. Entertain a motion.
Support.
Motion by President Pro Tem Dyke, supported by Councilmember Kuglowski, to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Objections? Unanimously approved. Now is the time, audience, for public comment time regarding any item that is on our regular agenda for this evening. So is there public comment? Regular agenda for this evening.
Sorry about that.
I can echo. Any public comment? Okay.
I do have a comment, but I would actually like to see the presentation about the social district prior to commenting, so I have full information, so can I ask the question at the end? Pardon me?
No,
No?
and that's not to be rude
That's
or
fine, then-
disres.
Then I'll say it now.
Can I talk?
Pardon me?
And I was about to respond to what you said, but I'm not trying to be rude or disrespectful. We've set up a structure how we conduct our meetings, which are not toxic like Bruce Townships, and they go rather well, so that you are more than welcome to make a public comment if you like at this time. If you have a question, you can put it out there and hopefully it would be addressed when the presentation is made with regard to the social district. So,
Would have been nice to have full information prior to commenting, but that's fine. I don't have a
Okay.
problem.
I mean, and if you, like I say, if you want to step forward and ask a question, perhaps the presenters can answer your question. That would be fine. So, but you're okay.
Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay,
I
right.
just wanted to know either way.
Sure.
I don't have a problem.
Yeah, and be,
My name is Pam Frazetta, for those of you that don't know.
yeah, please.
For those of you that don't know me, I'm thinking a lot of you do, as I recognize most of you sitting here. I would just like to make several comments actually about the social district. I'm, first of all, would like, and I already talked to the owners of Mikey's and Chickies before the meeting started. I wanted to make sure that they knew that this was not personal by any means, absolutely any means. I know Erin, she was a third grader going through school when I was teaching. So I've known her for a long time and got to know her better when she was bowling on the Wednesday night league that I bowl on, and I know Chickie for that same reason. So this is not personal in any means whatsoever. I don't know if you know the history of what happened to me in 2020. It was during the middle of the pandemic. I was crossing the street going from Speedway toward the post office to mail something. I was hit by a pickup truck. I was 3/4 of the way across the street, and when I is when I happened to see something shining out of the corner of my eye, and I did not have a chance to do absolutely anything, and the pickup truck hit me. The officer, who I don't know if he is still working, I will refrain from saying his name, if he is still with the police department. The gentleman that hit me was working at Rustic Bluebird at the time. He was racing to get out of work. He was on West St. Clair and trying to beat the light and being able to turn left onto Van Dyke to go north. I was already 3/4 of the way across the street, and I was in the walkway, and it was my turn to walk across the street. There is no way that he shouldn't have been able to see me. The result of that was I had an external hematoma. I was rushed to Troy Beaumont Hospital by ambulance. During the middle of COVID, no family member was allowed to be with me. I had to call someone to come and pick me up. I was lucky enough to have my phone in my coat pocket, and the only reason that I even had that phone in my pocket was because my brother happened to call as I was walking out the door, and I picked up my cell phone. I live right across the street. For those of you that don't know where I live right above what used to be the Cinnamon Stick, then Yarborough's, and now it's the French Drain Man. I see traffic accidents, people running the lights, people talking on their phones, people texting while they're turning constantly. It has not stopped, even though the law has been put into effect. I ended up with an external hematoma. I ended up having to go through 4 months of physical therapy because my left hip and back were messed up. Thank God I have made a full recovery. I will say that the Elmont Police, I will refrain from saying the officer's name, did absolutely nothing for me. The gentleman who hit me did not even receive a citation of any kind. It was clearly his fault, absolutely no repercussions for him whatsoever. When I called the chief of police and I had a rather lengthy conversation with him, well over an hour, it got me absolutely nowhere. Upon further investigation, I ended up finding out that one of the main reasons that the Elmont Police does not give a lot of tickets within town is because if they do, it then requires them at some point to end up in a courtroom with someone fighting a ticket or what have you. The Elmont Police Department does not have the money in order for that extra time for police officers to go to those court proceedings. Thus, it's not patrolled in town like it should be. Tickets are not given like it should be. And on top of that, if a ticket is given, I then found out that a lot of that money, that it normally goes to the state level first. It then goes to the districts that it was given back. The ticket was given. However, in Lapeer County, a good portion of that money does not actually come back to Elmont. It goes to the Lapeer County Library. I don't know how that was. I don't really care. That's just the facts. The chief of police at that time told me there was nothing that he could do about it. He gave me several reasons. He told me that the accidents in town they didn't happen often enough, although I can pretty much bet that all of you are thinking, yes, they do, because we've all seen the traffic in town. They said that the traffic accidents happen more on Tub Spring and Van Dyke rather than in town. He does not have the manpower to have town patrolled more, so it's not. Because of that, the entire community knows that they don't patrol in town, and that's why we see so many violations that go through town. The chief of police also told me, and yes, I know this is going to sound ludicrous because it sounded ludicrous to me at the time, was he could not ask his officers to patrol in town any more than they already do because they're unionized, and he couldn't tell them what to do. Those are his exact words. Now, going to the social district, I was hit 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I was sober. The person that hit me was sober. We all know the traffic violations that happen anyway. And now you're going to put alcohol in the hands of people crossing the street, wandering the street, what have you. I have nothing against Mikey's, Chickies, any of the bars, but I don't believe that increasing the alcohol wandering around on the streets is going to entice anybody to come to Elmont. It's not going to entice more community members to come into town. And in fact, this is just my personal opinion, if we are relying on alcohol use in order to wander around the street, to come to our town and to come to events, I think it's a pretty sad statement. I think it's a sad statement that we're using alcohol to entice people to come into town. I will fully admit, for many, many, many years, and in fact, I'm extremely disappointed that the Huddle is no longer here. I was a frequent person at the Huddle. Every Friday after school, teachers went. We had a great time. There's a lot of great memories there. But we were able to keep ourselves within the four walls of the building. And I don't think that that's too difficult for anybody to do, to keep themselves within the four walls of the building. I'm extremely concerned about this because I don't think it's just an accident waiting to happen. I think it's a tragedy waiting to happen. And I certainly wouldn't want my name or anyone else's name within this community to be associated with that. I think it's wonderful that Angela has done some things, the chili cook-off or crawl or whatever it's called. I'm not on Facebook, I just hear about it. I think that that's great. And I think those are the kinds of things that our bedroom community, and we are a bedroom community, needs to have. I'm not saying that we can't grow. I'm not saying that we can't have activities. I'm not saying that we can't entice people to come to our community, but I don't think that it needs to be alcohol related. And I just implore you not to approve this. I think that Elmont can do better than this. I think that we're all better than this. I don't think that we need alcohol to entice people to come to our community. I thank you for listening.
Any other public comment this evening for a regular agenda item?
Guys.
Hi.
Chicky, owner of the Paradise Saloon. I'm here about the social district too, and I'm gonna say I think it's a great idea. I think it's gonna involve more of the community. People in a social district like to hang out in a social district. They'll bring in more revenue, and for the last 21 years, I've been bringing people to town with alcohol. Sorry, there really hasn't been any accidents, anything like that. Pam, I'm sorry that happened to you. But when people come north, they park on the north side. They walk across Van Dyke anyways, especially like when I get the bikers in, they park on the north. They're going south, they park on the south. So whether, they have a couple of beers, they're still walking across Van Dyke. To maybe solve that, get the little green guys with the flags, put down the yellow stripes. I don't know. But I really do think it's going to bring more revenue to town. People stay later in town. They can walk around town. We need more foot traffic. If the town's looking a little bit livelier, people coming home from Caseville might stop in, have a drink, go to Mikey's, eat, Bouchelli's, whatever. The town's lively. We're going to stop. This looks like a fun town. So I really do think this is a great idea. And then the bars can work together, obviously, walking around town. Like I said, if you're going to go, maybe do a pub crawl, I feel if they were going to cross the street going maybe from the southeast corner to my building, they would use the light. They're going to hit the little stupid button that says walk. And more than 5 times, they're going to be probably 5 to 10 people. So everybody's going to be seen. But I really do think this is going to be a good thing for the community and bring more people to the community. I know there's some weird stuff, but I really do think that this is going to be really good for town. Thank you.
Chicky.
People that don't know me, I'm Jim Malik.
We all know you.
Myself, my wife Erin recently purchased Mikey's. I believe it is also a good thing. I mean, if you've been up in Lapeer for any of their stuff, it's brought lots of people into that town for their bike nights and other functions that they've done. To break away from even the sidewalk point of view of drinking out on 53 If the district is broke to where, like behind Mikey's and Roots and Senior Victor's into the lots, we'll be able to do some more weekend functions from what we've talked to about having some concert weekends in the back lot. And it takes away a lot of headaches of getting extra permits from liquor control or getting fencing put up because it's already in place. It makes things a lot easier. Are we pushing drunk driving? No, we're not. We watch it all in the bar. To me, it's no different. If you sit there and have 5 drinks and you walk out the door, accidents can happen. But it's still up to the bar owners to keep an eye on how much they're serving. Does people get to drunk driving? They do. But that's just the reality of the whole business. So I'm for it. I'll fight for it. And then if anybody has any questions with it, I'll do as much research as I can to dig into it. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Any additional public comment for regular agenda items? Hi.
Okay,
We
I'm
have to-
sorry.
we have
Am
to
I
stop-
allowed to do this?
We have to stop meeting like this.
Okay. Well, what I was gonna say is, Van Dyke being M53 compared to like Rochester Road or M24 Oxford, they have the same setup, the turn lane, the lanes, and then the parking on there. And Van Dyke is no different. They're up and down those roads. Nobody's really getting hurt. And they have more bars than we do, trust me. So I just want to say, I don't see there's any difference between M24, Rochester Road, and Van Dyke as far as crossing the roads. And, like I said, make it maybe a little bit safer where they got the little green guys, but it's no different. But again, thank you.
Any additional public comment? Something on our agenda for this evening?
Bill King, pastor, First Congregational Church. I guess my question, it's more of a question than a comment, and that is, now, people have talked about the Lapeer Social District, and they're doing that. So that's kind of what you're looking at as a kind of a model sort of thing. Am I correct in that? Or can somebody, so I guess my question is there a major artery, a road like 53 going through their social district? That's what I want to know. I mean, when they walk around, do they have, because I don't know what the traffic volume is going through north and south on 53, but to me, it seems like quite a bit. I mean, I've crossed 53 quite a bit, and that is the biggest issue for me, is like that traffic volume. Does Lapeer have that sort of volume going through their social district? That's what I want to know. Or is it more of a laid back, off the main artery sort of a place? I think that needs to be considered. I've talked to the DDA already, and we made, as the pastor of the church, we wanted to make sure that we were not involved in the social district. We couldn't justify being in that, so we had the DDA revise the boundaries, because originally when I saw it come out, we were in the boundary, which surprised us because we were not actually informed of this. We learned this in the newspaper. There was nobody came to the church and said, hey, can you be part of the decision making on this? We weren't involved in that. We only heard afterwards that we were in that. And so that kind of took us back. It's like, wow, that's kind of surprising. So, but after I talked to Angela, very cordial talk on the phone, very good conversation, she understood our situation and revised that. And so I'm grateful for her doing that. But again, even though the church is not in the social district, we are very near to it. And the whole idea of the high volume of traffic going through there really is a concern for us. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Any further public comment for regular agenda items? Looks like we're done with public comment. Thank you for everybody that spoke. Certainly like hearing from our citizens and all the concerns. Moving on to regular agenda item, Social District Resolution 24-02-01. presentation, Angela. And Andy?
Good evening, I'm Angela. Most of you know me. And I am here on behalf of the DDA board. We are looking for village council support on our social district initiative. On July 1st, 2020, Governor Whitmer signed House Bill 5781 into law, which became MCL 436.1551, creating the social district permit for municipalities in an effort to spur economic activity and grant flexibility to the hospitality industry in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. This law allows on-site sale and off-site consumption of alcoholic beverages in a designated social district area. Since this law was enacted, 112 municipalities in the state of Michigan have adopted designated social districts. Of those 112, 26 are of comparable or less in population to our village, and those are denoted in orange. I apologize, it's very much darker on the screen than I anticipated.
We have copies of that, so council can look at.
Didn't
They're
highlight them
packages.
on yours, but I can get you copies.
And that's just referencing the village, not taking into account the surrounding Elmont area. either.
right.
So it's about a quarter of the number.
The flexibility is intended to spur economic growth for the entire downtown district by allowing on-site sale and off-site consumption, encouraging patrons to purchase drinks and take them with them as they walk through our central business district, keeping them in our downtown longer. This concept has now had several years in action and has been a topic of discussion at all of the MDA conferences I have attended. It has been proven to not only spur economic growth for the participating licensees, but also stimulate growth within the entire downtown district. The 4 businesses with qualifying liquor licenses that have committed their support are Mikey's, Senor Victor's, Roots, and Chickies. Victor intended on being here tonight, but he got stuck in Grand Rapids, and he sent me a statement that I'll just read real quick right now. He said, "I have 2 restaurants in downtown districts, Clawson and Oxford, and I can tell you that social districts are exactly what has benefited our communities and businesses and has served as a bridge to success for all." The proposed boundary map includes all 4 of our available licensees and has been cleared by both the village attorney as well as the DDA's attorney. Just to clarify, this is in the maintenance and management plan and the etiquette and rules, but you cannot cross a road open to vehicular traffic with a beverage in hand. So can't, and if your quadrant of Van Dyke does not have a qualifying business to purchase from, the only time you would ever see alcohol would be when the roads are closed down, which would be Heritage Festival and Holiday Parade. So the southwest quadrant and the northeast quadrant would only see that, 2 days a year. On this map, the commons area is denoted. I believe that's in your packet as well.
Are you planning to comment on signage? You're going to get to signage issues as far as where people can walk with their alcohol. I just want to make sure we're addressing that.
The DDA's mission statement is to provide direction and resources to downtown business owners to maximize Elmont's potential and create a lively downtown. It strives for the economic advancement of the downtown, the promotion of its businesses and events while maintaining Elmont's historic roots and strong sense of community. Its goal is to collaborate with other local, public, and private entities to enrich the collective community experience through a vibrant downtown district. As read, the DDA's mission is to support our business owners by utilizing every tool available to us to continue the vibrant revitalization of our downtown, while encouraging the strong sense of community we all know and love. The creation of this social district, in my opinion, meets all of those objectives. So the commons areas would be in front of or behind the establishments, as well as Fountain Park. And do you want to speak to this?
Yeah, so with the complexity of the DD area between what we own, what the businesses own, obviously we have the pocket park and we just put the picnic tables in there. That would be one area that they can use. The only business back there that actually has an area where people could hang out outside is actually Victor's. Roots does not, Mikey's does not. Maria's just put in a patio. They don't serve alcohol, but that is the only other place that's out there. Because of the complexities of how everything is developed, the actual area behind Mikey's is actually owned by Maria's. We've actually already had conversations for potentially to develop that area to use for people to socially gather, right? Because of those complexities of who owns what, and really it's all going to be DDA used area, that now gives us the control to help this process happen. Also, when it comes to our parking lot issues, we currently have one that everybody knows about that's under contention right now, right? What we're trying to do is solidify different areas that people can go and stay within those confines, so that way people can just gather and do that and try to establish that area now before things get a little goofy. We do have the theater that's changing hands. That is supposed to be another outdoor venue. We'll eventually, they are included in there, but eventually we'll incorporate them as well. So this gives us just more flexibility to deal with these business owners in the future, like a Roots and even Mikey's, that don't have that avenue now.
So this map that you're currently presenting, not every business is totally on board with this, because I was going to go after the parking lot that is a contention. I was that gentleman who doesn't allow anybody to park in his
That's
parking lot.
That's a whole
Gonna
nother
handle
animal.
that sort
That's a
of
whole nother
activity.
animal. We've got a list of actually how many businesses are fully
signed in.
supportive of it. So we have that. Everybody, the vast majority is supportive of it. It's just,
And that
you
would be
know,
my general understanding as well,
Yeah.
but I can't imagine there's always an outlier somewhere.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if that business owner decides to put up a sign and says you can't walk on my property, it's got nothing to do with social district. He just doesn't want you there.
Okay.
Plain and simple. No different than the gravel lot that's supposed to be marked that nobody wants there, that they don't want them there, but people park on it all the time. So.
All right, so the Michigan Liquor Control Commission requires the municipality to adopt by resolution two things: the boundaries of a social district and the maintenance and management plan. Signage must also be prominently displayed, and each participating applicable licensee must first be approved by council prior to submitting their application to the state. The resolution in front of you accomplishes the following steps into one resolution: establishes a social district in the village of Elmont, adopts the boundaries of the social district, adopts the maintenance and management plan, and approves the licensees listed to obtain a permit from the state. Just to reiterate, this law has been in effect for 3.5 years and has proven to be a legitimate avenue for downtowns to increase pedestrian traffic and stimulate both economic growth while enhancing community togetherness. You have the management and maintenance plan. The rules and etiquette reflect a condensed version of the maintenance and management plan for public consumption and will be posted in participating businesses, as well as in a designated area in the social district, probably Fountain Park.
It'll also be posted on the DDA site and the village site as well.
Correct. The DDA would like to have the social district up and running by spring to coincide with our cruise, Jeep, bike nights, and for it to be in full swing for Heritage Festival. This time frame also benefits the businesses with their liquor license renewals, allowing them to save additional fees by applying for the social district permit at the same time. Chief Martin has been a part of this process, and he provided a statement for me. After a full review of the Elmont Social District policies and procedures, I, Chief Martin, fully support a social district for the village of Elmont. I do not foresee any issues as it has been presented, and believe it would be an asset for business owners as well as the general public. The feedback from businesses, 2/3 of the businesses that are within the social district boundary have voiced full support and approval and are excited to get it going.
What's the total number in the downtown area?
In the social district, it's 30.
So we have at least 20.
For benefit of council and the audience, and whoever might be watching this, can you specify what the signage is going to be saying to
So this is,
whomever might be walking down in the
That's
commons
a-
area?
exiting, so no alcohol permitted beyond this point. There will be trash cans, so people can throw their cups away. And the beginning of my presentation was the entering the commons area, where it also says alcohol prohibited in street or open to vehicular traffic.
So the vision is that any alcohol that's to be taken outside of the Class C liquor establishments will be in paper cups.
Yep, and they are not allowed to be any larger than, I believe, 16 ounces. They have to be clearly marked with the establishment it was purchased from, as well as the social district logo. Trash was the one issue I heard a few times from businesses who were apprehensive, and Brian from DPW has been great, and we've talked through it. If the DDA needs to purchase more trash cans, if DPW needs to empty them more frequently,
And so just to be clear, any customers of the liquor establishments will have signage telling them you are not allowed to cross M53 with alcohol in your hand.
correct. We'll have the rules and etiquette, and that is, I updated that with the village attorney's verbiage. Can't see it very well. It says, alcoholic beverages cannot be consumed on a road open to vehicular traffic, but we're gonna have this posted, but we can make any adjustments to have it just that rule,
Just so-
posted in addition.
Yeah, just so it's clear to the citizenry that you can't be on 53 with alcohol
But those signs
unless
will,
unless 53 is closed.
Those signs will be right on the road as well.
Those
That actually say that too.
Yeah.
You cannot cross or be on a
Right.
roadway.
That's what I.
So that language will be on the signs in front of the common areas, near the sidewalks as well.
At the
yes.
borders.
Alcohol prohibited in street where open to vehicular traffic.
So that'll be the one sign, and then the other sign is the
Sorry.
one telling you you're coming into the area. So there's actually two signs.
Dickies,
There's empty cup.
my empty cup. Alcohol, no cup with alcohol in it can be transported across M53. Can my empty cup be transported across M53? Or do I gotta get a new cup if I go to Chickies when I'm?
You have to
finishing
get
our
new
business?
cups, they're single use.
They're single use. Yeah, you can't just go get a refill. And just to clarify, they're plastic cups, not paper use, paper cups.
Okay.
And is there going to be additional signage? I mean, really, there's only one point that you can really safely, in my opinion, walk across M53 for like a pub crawl. Is there going to be designated lanes and areas pointing people to this direction that you need to go down to the traffic light to actually physically cross? Or are we, I mean,
We have rules on that, right?
yeah, I mean, we do.
I mean, we have
but-
rules on how to cross the street with crosswalks. I mean,
I
don't know.
guess when I first heard about this, now I'll level set too, I had the same concern as the pastor. M53 is a nightmare. I've also driven through Oxford and stuff like that. I believe that, equal amount of traffic down in M24. If not, maybe even worse at some point in times. They're making it work down there. I'm not opposed to making this work, but safety is the utmost important.
Absolutely.
And I think if it's a matter of a few more dollars in signs and clear direction that you can only cross at this point, obviously you won't have your container. But if I'm going from Chickies to Mikey's or vice versa, there needs to be a designated route. Because if I look at this social district right now, I can cross at any point across in 53, throw my cup away, shoot across there. Yeah, I mean, I know logic dictates that we're supposed to go to a crosswalk, but logic doesn't apply here, in America lately. So I just think some good direction, and if the businesses can enforce that as well, I think this could work. I'm not bashing any of this. My biggest concern is that's the first thing that popped into my head is I never feel comfortable crossing at 53. So.
And we could put up more signage,
Yeah.
but you brought up a good point.
Yeah.
Whether they were drinking it on this curb or walked out of one of the restaurants and just had one
Mm-hmm.
and crossed M53 not in a crosswalk. You know what I mean? We don't have signage telling them not to do that now.
Correct.
Right? So we can add the signage,
Mhm.
but my always biggest concern when you're dealing with like disaster recovery issues or mitigating that stuff is almost going too far down one direction. But if it takes us to put more signs up, we can always add more signs.
Just so it's really 100% clear,
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea to put a map with the route on the other side of the rules and etiquette either. That would.
Till people get used to this thing. Yep.
Correct.
So trying to understand the difference between, in our packet, it's Exhibit A and B.
B has the commons areas
Yeah,
denoted.
so reading the language, it says you can only drink in the commons area, right? So for Chickies, it would just be on the front sidewalk. Pretty much, you have to throw your beer away or your empty cup before, because you can't cross any street with it anyways. You're kind of on an island there, right? You can't cross West St. Clair, you can't cross Van Dyke. So really, you're just giving access to the sidewalk at Chickies. And then pretty much around the southeast block. Because that one-way street, is that Water Street or?
Stone,
Do you want to bring it up?
or I mean, Mill, right?
Bring that up.
Yeah. You're kind of boxed in there too, right? Even though there's a nice empty parking lot that's
It's hard.
formerly the laundromat for those of us who've been here for a few years. So really, though, you can only drink in those hatched areas. You can't drink throughout the social district. Because technically speaking, on the southwest corner, you wouldn't be able to arrive with alcohol there.
You wouldn't.
So, go ahead.
You would not unless the roads are closed.
So only during Heritage Festival and Holiday Lights Parade.
Correct.
Or special events, like if we do the Jeep and Cruise Night behind there, that's a special event. We just designate that area for that time frame. The whole point of drawing out the whole map, that's their social district. The commons area is where you're going to use on a more regular basis, on a daily basis. But the district is laid out so that way when we go to do those big events, it's spelled out, the whole areas.
Okay.
So when we close down a Heritage Fest and people are free to walk around because the road is closed, they just know in those confines where they go. They can't grab a drink out of, let's say Mikey's using them, and then walk all the way down, Van Dyke. It's not going to happen. So we have to spell that out, but that's what those two areas are for. And that's why when you see the term social district, that's ever encompassing. Commons area is the smaller part.
So then I guess the last question I have is I see that you've done your best due diligence to keep it mostly businesses. Have we talked with the residents that are kind of caught in the corners of the district? So there's two houses in the southeast corner that are behind the old theater that are kind of within the district technically. I guess the way it's drawn because we use nice roads that are there.
They're in Bristol Street, aren't they? They're in
Yeah,
Bristol Street.
Bristol and Stone,
Yeah.
two houses right
Mhm.
there. And I think there's another one, it's an apartments, I guess, above Sal's group. And Yeah, I guess there's no other homes other than that apartment's there.
There's no homes, but there's a lot of us that live above businesses.
It's also actually another house, right behind Yarborough's off of Branch Street. I have not, but I definitely can.
Yeah,
Again, this is
I just
proposal.
think,
We could adjust this.
yeah, and I guess that's my point, right? Is it's kind of new. It's only been 2 weeks since you got your first presentation, and it was in the newspaper. I don't know if these people know. The worst thing I think could happen is what happened in the township is we pass a resolution, and then all of a sudden residents find out that they've been included, and
So
Yeah, we
exclude
could, actually,
those.
we could exclude those. I think it was just more of utilizing. the
It was, I
box.
was just
The
following that.
commentary is the biggest key to this.
Yeah.
You know, but as far as that, we can unbox anything residential. Actually, residential wouldn't fall in that purview anyway, because it's only items that we either own or lease. So the rule extends to anything that we own or have a lease on.
So I gotta imagine you're gonna have permanent signage around your designated common area. So when we do have an event, is there gonna be additional signage to spell out where these new zones are, I guess, during those activities, or?
Yeah, as we develop the Jeep and cruise night and everything, and find out what areas we're going to basically use as confines, we're going to have to post that for those evenings. Yeah. But those will be a little bit more on a temporary basis. If it,
but they will have to remain within the district, right?
Correct.
And they have to be on the same side of a non-vehicular traveled street as a seller.
so going forward, we're going to move Jeep and cruise night is all going to be behind the Roots, Victor's, Mikey's.
Yeah.
Bike night, which we help support, that still stays with Chickies. Trying to get events on both sides of the streets.
Yep.
Yeah, we had no intent of ever having Jeep and cruise night in the church parking lot that we lease, at going forward because of that.
There's not a lease, I'm sorry, there's no leasing of the church parking.
Sorry,
This is, that is not correct, that's
Use agreement.
a use agreement, that's not a lease.
Yeah, sorry, use agreement.
I think Pete brought up a good point in talking about public notice. I think you started to address that. That is one issue or concern that I do have, is that I would expect with a proposal of this size and impact on community, we would have more people in the audience. I worry that this is going to appear that it's not transparent. Was there any posts made on DDA's website to let people know about this idea? I didn't recall seeing any.
I honestly did not feel that it was necessarily my place, as this is a resolution Village Council has to adopt, and we're kind of just the conduit to bring it in front of you. But I absolutely can if you're. I didn't want to blindside you guys either, and have you, show up and not
No.
really know what you're in for. But I mean,
Well, and that's
We
why we
absolutely
did
can.
the.
Let's clarify that. You're the conduit, but you're the conduit that's proposing this. You're bringing it to us. We're not bringing it to you.
Correct. But we also brought it to you a couple of weeks ago. If that was a concern then you wanted us to go out for public comment, that would have been one of those times to let us know that. We didn't feel we needed to.
I do feel it is necessary, and that was in thinking about the process. I didn't know it was going to be a resolution. I kind of assumed it was an ordinance that would have consensus, then go to public notice, and then a final vote, which seems more appropriate. Not that I'm saying it has to be an ordinance. The resolution is the appropriate mechanism. It's just that process provides the opportunity for more public transparency. And so that's why I didn't request that it was public noticed. I kind of assumed that was going to be part of the mechanics of the village approving it. But I really do have concerns that it's going to appear to the community that it was pushed through without their input and their chance to ask questions. You know, as I was thinking about it, you know, things came to my mind about safety and having a park that's people utilize to come and bring their little kids and look at the fountain. And they might want to be aware that there's a new social district in place, and they might make different choices about where they want to spend their time or let their kids walk to. And I just feel like they should have that opportunity to think about it and provide their input and feedback onto where common areas should be, and try and get a little bit of buy-in from the community in addition to the business owners.
You're talking in
That's
terms
fair.
of a public hearing, which would ordinarily be in the course of zoning, where you have to schedule a public hearing.
Not necessarily
For-
a public hearing, but it's been really quiet. I don't think a lot of people know about it. And that just personally makes me feel that if I'm proud about this idea and excited about it, I'd want to share it. Even knowing that you might invite a lot of people to come in and be critical, but I think that's part of the process, and it's an important part.
That's completely fair, and I absolutely agree. The boundaries are a little blurred because yes, this is an initiative that we're bringing to you. However, there's nothing more we can do but put it in your laps. We don't have a vote on it. It won't be us adopting the resolution. It would be the municipality. So if you're asking, it's not that I'm not proud of it. That's not why I'm not posting. It's a little bit of a tricky situation because yes, I'm bringing it to you, and yes, the DDA board has developed this plan, but after we develop it, it's out of our hands. It's up to council. So I'll throw it on our website and Facebook page daily if that's what is being requested.
I'm going to say, and let me throw this out there again. We've been in discussion this for almost 3 years. And fully transparency, it's been on YouTube. Meetings, we've discussed it. Heritage Fest planning meetings, we've discussed this. It was at your meeting on YouTube, so it's been transparent out there. It's been in the paper, which got a fair amount of traction from it, from different areas. I mean, it was all over Facebook. That sure got a lot of comments, good or bad, right?
I didn't see any.
I haven't seen anything on
I saw
Facebook.
zero.
Yeah, no.
There was some
It's
fair
been
amount.
going on for 3 years. It was brought up to us for the first time 2 weeks ago.
Well, and again, this isn't a zoning issue and this isn't an ordinance. This is just a resolution. So again, if you want it done that way, it would have been good to know that when we originally presented. That's why we presented. So as we're working together, we had the ground rules of what you want. But if need be, we could do that.
Reality is that in terms of public notice and people knowing what we do here, whether it's council or DDA or planning commission, 85% of the time, nobody shows up. All those seats are empty. People don't come. They don't follow what we're doing. If they were really concerned about what was going on, they would show up. They only show up when they're mad or some other terminology besides mad. So that's unfortunate, but that's the reality of what we have to deal with. And we were elected to make decisions that we think will benefit the community. Obviously, should have safety concerns, absolutely. And if you have 112 communities that are doing this and we're not hearing any bad feedback, and in fact, when I helped the Alex acquire Mikey's, I talked with the Liquor Control Commission investigator about this very issue. The social district said, Port Huron just did it and they love it. So, you know, if this was something, if we were the initiators, the first ones doing this, or, you know, first of 5, 10 doing it, but when you have 112 communities and it's worked well in not getting a negative blowback, it's like,
So
We add that our attorney and your attorney has blessed everything that we have done for all the verbiage on it. So they've reviewed that fully.
okay, so I mean, I know you have a timeline that you're trying to hit because Jeep and Cruise Night in spring is coming, and the process, I'm sure, because as soon as you say state of Michigan is not short. I mean, we've been waiting 2 years for a road that we already have funding for. from the
Sounds
federal
very
government.
encouraging.
But your next DDA meeting is at the end of the month. Our next village council meeting is before your DDA meeting, if I remember my dates correctly. Is there any reason we can't use the next 2 weeks to get public feedback and hold off on the resolution till the next meeting? I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't received one single email in the entire time I've been on village council, and I got 6 in the last 2 days. And of course, to your point, Steve, none of them are positive ones because people don't send positive emails. They always send negative emails. But that kind of raises my eyebrows that, in 2 days, I got 6 times more email than I had ever gotten before. So some of them are, yes. Well, and that's why I'm saying, can we go until the next meeting? Does that make sense to the council to be able to address concerns?
Well, one, how are you going to get that public feedback back? And that's an issue. I had received some information that those 6 emails were not particularly relevant to the issues we're addressing here this evening. That's one aspect of it. And if you've ever had to go through the painful process of obtaining liquor control approval, that's months and months and months. And be plenty of opportunity to have public feedback, because you could always pull back from liquor control saying, you know what, hold off. So there are so many hurdles to jump over to get to this point. I mean, you're not going to get a liquor control approval, next week type of thing. It's going to be months. And I've had lots of experience with liquor control, and you have to jump through many, many, many hoops. And so I would presume all this is going to get out there to the public, newspaper, whatever, Facebook, and we'll have plenty of opportunity to get feedback. And if the feedback, we can change it. If we're saying, if we get feedback from people that are so concerned, and we should talk about alcohol for just a little bit, then there's no reason why we can't retract what we've done. It's not in concrete. See, there's too much public concern, and this is going to be a real hazard to our community, which I think would have to be demonstrated that it's a real hazard. We can pull back at any time.
I'll just say, and I had the conversation with you and Angela last week. I was getting feedback then. I've gotten several emails too. They're legitimate emails. They're people I know, that other people that have talked to them that they know. Why they're not here tonight, I can't answer that. There's no direct concerns. They basically echoed what Pam said. They just don't feel that what this is Almont, and that's what their feedback was. So
They don't think it's Almont.
what's that?
They don't think it's Almont.
It's kind of what Pam echoed, that they don't think the alcohol variant of trying to draw people downtown is what Almont needs, and that's what they've specified. So, but we had that conversation last week, and I made that open to you then.
So let me throw out a couple things with that. So again, you're asking us to go for public comment. Last week would have been a perfect time for us to piggyback with you guys to do that, right? We explained this well in advance to give you time to think through, give us your feedback, give us your issues.
I gave you feedback a week ago.
You did. But that would have been a great time for us to piggyback for public comment. How many people did you have here? I was here for the vast majority of the time. How many?
At the open house,
Mhm.
approximately 30.
Okay, there you go. So we have over 20 businesses that are fully supportive, right there, right? So, I mean, that's almost your 30 number just in the business support that you have, right? So again, if we knew the ground rules of what you wanted, we would have brought it back to you today.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I'm not trying to start an argument.
No, I'm
with
not
you.
either, but
It
it's
kinda
timing,
sounds
right?
like a little bit.
No, I'm just being factual. right?
And I'll echo what
If
Min,
I
go
no,
ahead.
just finished, you said you wanted to give us time to think about it, coming back 2 weeks. I took my time to think about it, and this is the feedback that I'm giving you, that I've been in support of the concept, you know, I voiced that at the time. I want to give other people the opportunity to have that, and I think that you're gonna want community support, and if they don't feel like they've had a chance to give input, you might not get it, and, you know, I want this to be successful and move forward in the right way, and I just feel like we might be rushing it a bit if we skip that really important step.
To echo Mindy's point, I think it is valuable to get that feedback. I know I've approached a few of my neighbors, you know, in the Drakeshire farm area. It's a newer community in here. Most of the people don't have roots in Elmont, you know, and like a lot of the folks that they know, and they had no clue. I had no clue until, you know, the interim manager called me what even a social district was. I had to call them out on it. I didn't have not even a clue. Now, other communities doing this, great feedback about them, great experience. I think it's great for business. It's awesome. Again, you know, the safety side of it. But on our side of the pond, everyone wasn't against it, but their first thing out of their mouth was, well, what about M53? That was the first thing that everyone said to me. It was like a general consensus, you know, and again, it was a handful of neighbors, but they all said the same thing. And I think this is an opportunity for you guys to really put that fact sheet out there, to head off a lot of that public comment, to put it to bed, to say, hey, this is what we have planned. This is how we're going to address safety. This is how we're going to do this. You know, this is the proposal. And then we can really get on the side of the community so we can head a lot of this off. So I think this is a good idea, you know, for growth in the community, but we just need to do it right.
Part of what's disturbing in listening to all of this, if you watch the news at all, so council voted 6-1 on a particular issue. All that goes in the paper is the guy who dissented. They only report on the negative. So we're hearing, Pete says he got, 6 emails and Tim got a few. So a few people speak out and you're always going to get negative comments. I propose that we name, that this village hall be called the St. Mother Teresa Village Hall. And we would get at least 10, 20, 30. What's wrong with you? You nuts? She was a bad lady.
Well, I
So
think
you're always going to get some negative.
Pete had a good point in that, is this really pushing things back to wait 2 weeks until our next meeting? DDA doesn't even meet in the interim period, is that correct?
We don't meet till the fourth Wednesday of the month.
So we would
Why
meet
would,
in 2 weeks.
So the
is
time,
there a rush?
Hey, what is the
What are we-
application
what
deadlines,
are
I
we
guess?
losing in 2
April,
weeks?
actually, Dale, can you expound on that? You mentioned that before, about the April timing for them on their renewals, correct? We're pushing up a clock to get it done for this year. I don't want to say that's a rush, but that's the timeline we're having to deal with, right? Is to get everything in there in enough time to get them for all the businesses for their annual permit.
License renewals. Okay.
So, and that's why when we talked last time about coming back to the meeting for the resolution adoption, we want to make sure we had all of our ducks in a row here tonight. So if you want us to do public comment, I mean, I guess if that's a consensus, I guess what's the time frame before we have to have a open house? I'll do an open house like you had. We'll put stickers
Doesn't
on the
have,
board. and go
we're
from
not,
there.
I'm not suggesting we need a formal public comment process. It's just
In the dialogue.
open the dialogue, put it out there. It's not out there.
See, I'm not.
And it's not our responsibility to get it out there.
Right.
It's not this board's responsibility to get it out there. We're the ones doing the resolution, but we're not driving the initiative. You guys are.
But but the vote on it falls in our lap.
The vote falls on our laps.
Wayne?
Well, and that was my thing. See, I'm the opposite of you guys. Like, so obviously everybody knows I do the car show stuff. Obviously, I know John and some other ones, but where John may be one way, but I've been the opposite because with this, I talked to a lot of the people and the businesses and stuff at the car show, and I've gotten one I shared with you, one negative, what I've heard here, and I've had 10 positives. So my is a little different because I'm in a different group of people with Elmont. So I think
Right.
it's kind of a mixed
scenario.
No, it's good.
Yeah,
I think it's
that's
an
good.
opportunity for people to
Yeah, so
express
it's kind of-
Exactly. No,
positive
exactly.
opinions as
Exactly.
well.
Right.
So let me go back to that one comment of, this is an Almont, right? We do the Heritage Festival. The beer tent nets or grosses over $18,000 just in alcohol sales. Almont loves it. We have, what, 600 a night come to that?
All I can say, and it was what I told you last Tuesday, and I'm not speaking for me, I'm speaking for my constituents that have made commentary to me, and it's more than one. And that's, and Pam echoed the same sentiment. And first of all, I'll compliment you guys, because this is one of the best presentations I've ever seen. The information in here is great, and it's appreciated.
Tim, that means a lot to me.
No, seriously.
No, I'm
Um,
asking Jim this too.
No, you guys have hit all the facts we need to look at it. And when I'm making these comments about my constituents, it isn't railing on the DDA or railing on anybody. I'm just giving feedback from what I've heard. One of the people were so concerned, they emailed me 3 times reminding me that they're very concerned about it. And their concern is they don't think it's Almont. Yeah, maybe the beer tent is Almont in your mind, and maybe it is in everybody's mind, but in Pam's mind and the people that I'm talking to, it's not in their mind. I can't change their mind. And when I spoke to them, and when they asked me about the social district, I sent out a very generic explanatory email stating what it was, not giving my opinion either way of what you guys presented us 2 weeks ago. And then they came back with further feedback after I gave them that information. And I kind of contextualized the wording that I sent to them with you guys in a conversation last Tuesday too. So
So we're talking about the culture of Almont.
right.
And whenever we look for a manager, is this manager, does he fit in with the
We're looking
culture?
for a culture of Almont, and some of Wayne's people think the culture of Almont thinks this is good.
Right.
And some of the
Yeah.
other people that
Yeah.
are talking to me and Pete
Yeah, I
think the
understand.
culture's bad.
Right.
And as a board and as a DDA, we've got to weigh all those opinions to figure out
I'm not-
what's the right.
That's the best way.
Yeah, I'm not saying we shouldn't. If we
Right.
took a poll of everybody that gathered in Mikey's and Roots and Chickies and asked what they thought, probably all be positive.
Right, but they didn't
That's-
email me, Constituents that voted us in emailed me their opinion, so I'm
Yeah.
giving their voice tonight.
There was nothing wrong with it.
They could have been, or they're not, but they did take the time to contact me, so I'm echoing those
Well,
words.
Whatever you're gonna put on,
Simple as that.
well, whatever you're gonna put on the table, you're gonna people in favor and people opposed.
Right.
So a decision has to be made. If you don't want to do it tonight, if council's, and I'm sorry, guys, but if council's more comfortable, giving it a little more time to settle in and see what additional feedback we get from the community, because we're talking the culture of Alma. And you're always gonna get positives and negatives, and with putting the positives out, putting the negatives out. Yeah, absolutely. That's part of what we have to weigh.
Exactly.
And it does fall on our lap because we're supposed to govern. We have to make the decision at some point.
And if it makes any difference to you two, I've weighed this heavily. I've weighed this heavily for 2 weeks, every day. I've discussed it with people in my mind. It's been one of the bigger issues on council that I've really given serious thought to, so.
I'd like to say I really appreciate this presentation. I think it's laid out very well. I can tell you put a lot of time into it. I echo a lot of the comments like that Ed and Mindy had suggested that I don't think the issue is if this would be beneficial for the businesses of Elmont. I think we all are kind of in consensus that it would be. I think the main issue here is that the residents maybe feel like their voices haven't been heard or they're not aware of what's been going on. And with the recent issue of the noise ordinance in the township, I don't want to repeat, maybe we can do some lessons learned from what has happened locally. I think maybe in terms of like public comment, I'd like to see maybe like one of these maps, the Exhibit A and Exhibit B, maybe spelled out where the orange borders along the outside are only during the specific events like the Heritage Festival and other stuff like that, because at least when I was reviewing it, it appeared to me like this would be 24/7, like all year round, where it doesn't seem to be that's the case. It's closed down for only a few days of the year, where really it's the common areas which would see the majority of the alcohol consumption. So I think people need to understand what the social district is. Like Tim had said, people don't know what it is, and
Right,
I don't
because
think they know.
Because I think a lot of the people that I talked to, and maybe I didn't have a better understanding of the consumption areas. Because the people I talked to, I think they're picturing people walking up and down 53 all day long with open alcohol. And if it is explained out there where the main consumption areas are going to be, I think that'd be helpful. I think that actually might sway people. It gave me more insight.
Well, culture is interesting. So in 1919, United States passed an amendment, the 18th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, prohibiting alcohol. So that lasted about till 1933. And what happened in the interim is the citizenry of the United States said, we can't live, extreme statement, without alcohol, without something to relieve us. Human frailties. If you go back in history to the beginning of time, humanity did something to alter their minds, to take off stress pressures of life. It's not great. And so, I mean, the organization that got the 18th Amendment through it, crime, violence, chaos, yeah, that's absolutely true. But people are not going to live without it. And human frailty. That's just who we are. I'm not advocating to get drunk or what. I prefer not to because I don't feel so good afterwards. But yeah, that's just the nature of things. So it's unfortunate, but we all have to look at who we are and what we are, and in looking back from the time humanity began up through the present time. So some people look at it as being sinful, and others, that's just part of our normal life. So you go Friday night, the parking lot's full, it's beer night. And I guess Saturday nights too. People just give me some relief. That just alter my mind just a bit, so I feel like, okay. There's bad parts to it, obviously, too. Do domestic relations law and the violence it's terrible, but that's humanity. So, my take on where we're at this evening, I think there's a sufficient expression from council members and the audience that we should put it over at least to our next meeting to give them more opportunity to get the word out there. I think council will be a lot more comfortable with making a decision, and sort of put you fellows, you people off. I mean, you did an excellent job putting everything together. It's the utmost you can do, but obviously it's stirring up feelings and concerns, and there's differing opinions. So I would recommend that we table this and address it again at our next meeting. If for any reason we think it's necessary to put it over again.
Can I just
But
request
that's my sense of council. I'm sorry.
guidance on how you would like me to get the public feedback I received to you? Or are you going to be looking on the Facebook page? Like, how do you want me to get that public feedback back to you?
Make a flyer, I'll hang it in the bar.
I would say all of our supporters are at their bar tonight. How many got there?
I think that's a good idea, though. I think that not only at the bars, but if there's anybody even opposed to it, if they you just put it out there that if you're opposed to this and you have more questions, reach out and let me know, or see this flyer. Give them a link to anonymous feedback.
And I also
We
think
want,
that,
we don't want anonymous,
Yeah.
because if they're not from the area.
Well,
They're not
yeah,
from the
well,
area, I don't care.
that's true. I agree with that. Yeah, I agree.
So I think we gotta.
Yeah, I agree
You're
with
coming
that.
us with some new ground rules, we're gonna do it. So we'll get it on our Facebook page to get it to us with feedback, correct? Will the press be willing to, put something out there for us? Okay, is that adequate enough? There's two sources right now.
Yeah, and on our own
Our-
village Facebook page,
Okay.
this proposal's out there. I mean, I think it's great if you post your presentation so that people have a chance to see it. You spent a lot of time
And I
on
would
it. It helps
recommend-
explain everything, and I think the public deserves a chance to look at it.
Does he put a flyer together, you could hang it in the various businesses? I'd some people would put it
I'm
on
sure
mine.
businesses would.
I would recommend what Councilmember Steve here also said about maybe clarifying the map a little more. I think that would really benefit
Yeah.
public opinion, that if these are the, I guess, day use districts, and this would be, in a festival type thing, really clarify that map.
I mean, we understand that the district is there all of the time, but the most likely use of the entire district is only during certain timeframes of events.
That only helps sell your position.
Do we need to spell out when we do Heritage Fest or the bike night, cruise nights, where
I
the
would,
events are gonna take place? Like, how deep do you want us to go?
I wouldn't go that detailed, just that special use timeframes open up the entire district.
During
versus-
festival time, during Elmont days or whatever, this is an option that we can use. But in normal business days, this is where it'll be condensed.
Really, that southwest corner is never gonna be, even during a special event, unless 53 shut down.
Correct.
Well, the southwest corner here that we're looking at on the map, right here, or the one on the other side?
The actual southwest, so
The actual
north is to the right, yeah.
The actual southwest. not
Yeah.
From Rustic Bluebird down to the funeral home would have no use because you can't, there's no way. to get
Unless
alcohol-
53 shut down.
Unless 53 shut down. I can't-
Correct,
I can't
and
take
the
alcohol
reason
there.
that's included
Right.
is to include our parking lot,
Right.
should we
Yeah,
need it
no,
for an
No,
event.
exactly.
Yeah, I
exactly.
understand that, yeah.
I just want to make sure we're.
One
we're actually-
Talk about the same
one
site.
clarifying question. I know there's the drinking zones or the specified zones. So I go into Mr. Alex's place and I get my cup and I want to go stroll between the theater and the Pocket Park on Main Street with my cup. Am I allowed to do that or can I only drink in the specified zone?
No, you can, well, you couldn't walk down to the theater because you'd be crossing a street open to vehicular traffic.
So it's only going to be that L shape that you see.
Go to the historical society.
You could, yep,
Okay.
you can go talk to Mr. Wade and.
Okay.
Yeah, you could, basically, if you take a look, you could take that area here, and it's basically just gonna go around that block. That's gonna be the max of it. Right. Now, later on, if that other area gets developed as a bar restaurant, we'll have to, probably make an amendment to it, but that's future planning.
Okay. Anything else?
Just thank you for your time in the presentation. I
right,
appreciate
so-
it. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you for your time.
Let
If
me
you have
ask,
anything compiled by the time agendas go out, Kim, could they provide that to you
Absolutely.
for inclusion in the packet? So that would
Yes.
be, what time would you want that by, or what day?
The Monday, the week prior to council meeting,
okay, so, and we're
next
coming,
Monday.
and we're coming back to the council.
Next Monday. So I'm,
Yes.
just to be clear, I'm only gonna have 3 days to create a flyer and collect survey information.
Whatever.
Oh, no,
whatever you
we
need.
can, no. The
Okay.
the flyers can be added to the packet at a later time, so that's fine. As long as it's, I would say
I would-
before Thursday
I
morning.
can give you the flyer
I would-
tomorrow, but I'm asking about the.
I know we have rules on agenda. This special case with everything going on, I would say push it later to the week and email us the results or add the results to the packet later in the week.
I mean, and to me, this is more about getting the word out to them,
Right.
and however they want to provide comment to get back to council is up to that person. I think you've done your job if you get the information out. So, I don't necessarily need you guys to be the messengers back to us. getting the word out to me is the most important thing, and then people can give us feedback through our normal channels.
If we're doing this to be transparent, I don't want to say, here it is, it's been out for 3 days, and like, that's not giving people the time to digest.
I agree.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I
what do you-
misunderstood.
Did you mean the?
The results of all of that feedback, that can be Tuesday morning, before the meeting.
The
Okay.
week of the meeting.
Yeah.
But you don't want us to get the feedback, you want it to come to you guys, or you want us?
Whatever you
Whatever
receive,
mechanism they choose.
Whatever mechanism they choose, what we're saying is, what was being said
don't
is
have to
any
collect.
feedback you got, originally, they thought it was gonna have to be done next Monday. I would say we can add stuff to the packet, and I know that's, tougher on staff, but if we're getting responses as late as next Wednesday or Thursday,
Yeah, we
Even-
can,
even
we
if you
can go all
email-
the way up to Tuesday morning.
yeah.
We have we have
and-
consensus of council, we're tabling.
And-
Mr. President,
Yes,
would you like this presentation re-presented at the next meeting?
I would think only if the circumstances seem to call for it. In other words, we had people showing up. If we have the usual empty house, no, I don't think so. I don't think that that's necessary. I mean, how many people really are listening, watching to our meetings? We see 6 or, not a lot.
There's 15.
Pardon?
Right
There's
now, there's
15 this
15
evening.
watching.
That's a
Yeah.
record.
Yeah, I think that
But
is a record.
that's live streamed, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So word gets out, you could have 100 viewers by 2 weeks from now. But I would agree, I don't know that you need to re-present it.
Especially. if
Only
you're
if you have
putting it
amendments.
Especially if you're putting this information out there.
I mean, if it were a 5-minute presentation, a brief, just.
You don't want me up here for 2 hours again?
Yeah, nuts. Yeah. Yeah.
Before,
Just the
before
map.
everybody leaves though, because there is early voting going on next time, our meeting is going to be at the Township Fire Hall on the 20th. So that's where that meeting will be. So I just didn't want anybody to be showing up here and,
Yeah, we'll want to make sure that that's well publicized.
yes,
So.
yes.
Wayne, you ready to do the recording?
So it doesn't look like we're hiding.
I know.
Kim, does the meeting also start at 7 PM or is it 7:30?
It'll be 7:30. We do have a
Thank
public
you.
hearing at 7:15 for something else.
Great presentation.
I know that this is not protocol, but before anybody leaves, I think you're discounting a large portion of Elmont, and then maybe you need to think out of the box in order to get the word out. Really going to get the word out to everybody. There's a large portion of our community, elderly, that don't use Facebook. And we seem to rely on Facebook an awful lot. I mean, I'm thinking of my mom and all of her neighbors, none of them use Facebook. So if you're really gonna get a cross-section of the whole community, and it's not just the people who live in town, it's the whole community, because everyone travels through in the intersection and through downtown. So I think that you need to try to think out of that, get the word out to some of those people as well.
I will also say those are in the newspaper as well, so.
Some do, some do not.
It's a village issue. So. When's
Well,
it
at
going to
some
be voted on it, one way or the
well,
other?
No disrespect, Pam, and I agree with you to a point, but at some point, people have to be responsible for being aware of what's going on.
Well, what I was sort of getting at is, it sort of sounded like flyers were gonna go up in the bars. And, but maybe,
All the businesses.
but maybe not just downtown businesses. I think it's everywhere. I think we need to plaster it, if you're really gonna get a cross section of everybody.
Okay, I think we're done with regular agenda item number 1. Moving on to regular agenda item number 2, second quarter budget amendments. It's yours, Kim, right?
Yes.
Excuse me for a moment.
See questions for you. I want you.
Okay, included in your packet is the proposed second quarter budget amendments, and my memo explaining, those, budget amendments. If you would like me to read the memo, I certainly can. But if you have any questions, I would be more than happy to answer them.
I guess just one comment. It seems like and you can correct me if I'm reading between the lines incorrectly here. It seems like our investments are doing better than with the change
Yes,
than we
with,
had
with
originally
the change to
planned.
Michigan class, yes,
Yeah.
it has done tremendously for our interest account. So
Yeah.
it was a very good call, I believe, making that change. Another thing too, I know I said it in my memo about the DDA, but the DDA board approved their budget amendments at their January meeting, and the park board also approved their budget amendments at their January meeting as well, so.
Normally I would take over and do the vote, but since Steve is here, we'll pause for him.
Sure.
I just heard the Archie Bunker signal, so he should be right.
Oh, it's up to you. It's fine. Yeah.
I didn't take over.
Pardon?
I did not take over.
Oh,
He was hoping.
You were hoping.
He thought we'd be through the
He thought
agenda
we'd
by
be
the time he got back.
okay. In that case, do we want to talk about budget amendments? I remember what we were talking about.
I think we're good on it unless you got something to say. I'll make the motion to approve the specified budget amendments as presented.
Motion by President Pro Tem Dyke, supported by Councilmember Glasser, to approve second quarter budget amendments as presented for the fiscal year 2024. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Objections? Unanimously approved. Agenda item number 3, ZBA alternate appointment. Who's,
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Robert Miller, who, if you don't know, is on the planning commission. And during the open house, he had told me that he was interested in being an alternate member for the ZBA. Since he is on the planning commission, it would be much like Mr. Schneider is, that he would only fill in if Mr. Feldman was there, wasn't able to attend. Same thing would happen with Mr. Miller if Mr. Tedeschi couldn't attend the ZBA.
Sure.
So,
okay.
And I included his application from when he submitted for planning commission.
So ZBA is not presidential appointment, it's council
Council.
appointment, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So we would need a motion to appoint Mr. Miller, who I have the pleasure of sitting next to at a planning commission. Lovely man, nice man, knowledgeable man. He's actually a builder developer, so he knows a lot of stuff. And yeah, he's a real pleasant addition to our governmental entity.
Yeah, I'll echo that. For those that don't know, he was attending council and planning commission meetings as well, not serving on a board for like the past year.
Yep.
And since he's been on planning commission, he took the planner's course, 6-week course, and he's really lent a valuable addition to the planning commission, and along with the other gentleman the younger gentleman we appointed. So I would highly recommend it.
He's very experienced also. Yeah. So you making the motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to appoint Robert Miller as the alternate member to the ZBA for a 3-year term, ending December 31st, 2027.
I'll support.
Motion made by President Pro Tem Dyke, supported by Councilmember Feldman, to appoint Robert Miller to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Objections? Unanimously approved. Thank you. Okay, so now is the time, audience, for public comment for any item that is not on our agenda for this evening. Is there any public comment? Apparently none. Yes.
You don't have to FOIA. I can
FOIA.
just send you the packet.
It's public knowledge.
So how do I obtain a copy of
You can email, yep.
that?
Mhm. You're welcome.
Okay. So, there be no public comment or open discussion items, no closed sessions. We're moving on to council manager comment time. Manager Kerberson, anything to present to council?
Yes, I thought I'd give you an update on a few items that I've been involved in since our last meeting. The first one on my list is I have managed to arrange a confined space training for our wastewater treatment plant staff and DPW staff. They had commented that they were concerned when I did a tour of the wastewater treatment plant. And I know that a few of the DPW employees have been recently trained, but I've arranged for Great Lakes Water to come here and train our people, and they're going to do it on our site, so we will be able to utilize our own equipment so they have hands-on actual experience rather than doing it in a lab in Detroit. So they'll be arranging that in the near future with our staff. I recently did a detailed tour of our mobile home park. The DPW director and I went through and counted. We have been following up on their delinquent on their water bill and their taxes. So we have been responding, letting them know about that. And we needed to have accurate current information. So he and I did a detailed review of the park. I recently audited our Metro Act payment, which is the reimbursement from companies that use our right-of-way. We wanted to make sure we were receiving payment from all of those companies, and we in fact are. So that turned out good. I've done everything Kim has been telling me to do.
Which I'm sure is plenty.
I also, I've been following up on a rental inspection issue, which has led me to dig into how many rental properties we have in town and if those properties are registered and have been inspected and so on. So we're in the middle of that. Pam and I have been working on it with the help of Lisa in the office, and it looks like we're at about 50%, that we know of about 50% of them. So we're going to reach out to CCA and get those on their radar and get the process started to get those inspected and updated in our records and theirs. We have set the schedule for our budget preparation with the department heads, and let's see down here. Some more minor things, but I did talk with the chief, and we worked out a process to keep the streets patrolled on a regular basis so that we could eliminate on-street parking. It's been a problem during the winter so far, and they've developed a warning that they're going to be placing on vehicles, and then if they're not gone in a reasonable amount of time, we have already towed 2, and we will continue to do that if we have to keep the streets open in the evening for snow plowing. So, and you might have seen the cold patch machine out today. We actually heat our cold patch so that it goes in and does a better job. They originally started that project, the machine broke down. It's been repaired, and they've been back out yesterday, and they will be out today and tomorrow.
They were out Friday too.
Yeah, that's
They
when it broke
were
down.
knocking it out on Friday.
Yeah, so that's it. That's the current update, and of course, I'm here to answer any questions if I can.
Kim, anything to bring to council?
Just as noted earlier, February 20th, the meeting will be at the Almont Township Fire Hall. Also, there is a public hearing scheduled for 7:15. It is to consider an IFT application for 4625 Development Drive for a spec building.
At
What-
7:15?
Yes. Mhm. And LDC will be there to present. IFT. Industrial Facilities Tax. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that was a question.
Everything has initials these days.
Yes. acronyms.
BTW, and we won't mention the other ones.
And that's it.
Anything else, Kim?
No.
Wayne, anything?
Just, I don't know if anyone else has got it, but lately I've been getting a lot of complaints again about blight again. I'll kind of word to the resident, kind of referred to it as the corner houses. A couple of them were just, you could kind of see the backyard from, like Kidder and some of the roads, and just said, wow, like this is just covered in garbage, and they just kind of asked the same thing. Like, don't we have like an ordinance officer? And I'm like, yes, we do. But yeah, it was because they kind of wanted to see, again, if we are just being active in that, just making sure that people are staying up on keeping things up, tidy.
May not want to come forward and make a complaint.
I don't know on this particular one, but you probably know one of the houses that you and I probably drive past was the one they're referencing. But
Okay.
yeah.
Citizens are always welcome to do that.
Yeah.
Is if they have a concern.
Yeah. Yeah.
Email.
Yeah, I looked on the sheet, but that house isn't on the sheet. But yeah, that's all I had.
I just wanted to thank the manager for the reach out call to get opinion and sit down and talk to understand better on the social district part. Appreciated that. Aside from that, no, good.
Just a couple park updates. Because of the early voting, the next park board meeting was moved to February 29th. I have arranged for the Clinton River Watershed Council to come and present some ideas to the board about improvements to the park, either water quality, educational, or combining some of those aspects. there's definitely some potential grant opportunities out there, particularly some kind of exciting news about the DNR collecting some data about the North Branch of the Clinton River, which is what runs through our community park, and that there's maybe some potential for it to be trout habitat, and could lead to us having a little toehold and some additional funding for like restoration work or protection work. So yeah, it's all pretty cool, and we'll definitely be talking more about how we might make some improvements and moving forward in that direction. Some other things going on at the park is there was an expansion of the pavilion to further facilitate music in the park. We had a lot of bad weather this past summer and led to some delays and some difficulties in powering through some of those scheduled performances. So this should be an improvement and allow the bands to play undercover. So even if it is raining, the show can still go on. There's some improvements to the bathrooms that were also pretty exciting. If anyone's been in there, they were not so nice. So yeah, definitely looking brighter, fresher, and more welcoming for people to use. And also Park Board just looking for feedback on potential avenues of funding they might pursue. We were not successful in getting the funding for the major renovations, particularly for the old tennis courts. So we'll be again talking about trying to look for funding or making moves towards trying to budget for that potential expense in the future. So any other ideas that you hear about what the community would like to see from the park, pass them along to the board or through me. We're kind of in that planning stage right now, looking for what we want to accomplish in the next year.
I forgot something.
Okay, we'll come back. I just want to make sure, Mindy, are you all set, Mindy?
All set.
But I just wanted to compliment you, and I see that you're bringing something to the park board did not previously have in terms of getting the watershed people involved in it. That's something I never even thought of, and you're getting them out there. That's terrific. And obviously, I get the feeling you're kind of invigorating that board, and you bring a lot to it, with your knowledge and. Well, yeah, I mean, but yeah, we never got such fulfilling reports based to park board.
Yeah, some excitement around providing some educational opportunities at the park and educating kids about what they might find in the creek and how they can protect it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that whole goal of making the park board more important, more significant to the community. 1 second, Ed.
Oh, yeah.
Tim.
My apologies, and Mindy, great update on the board. Work well done. I just totally forgot. Last Tuesday, they had the planning commission hosted an open house for the 5-year master plan. In the past, what we've done to get public input is have a public hearing where we stand up here and kind of say what it is, and people sit out in the crowd and go like this to you. So Caitlin, our plant, so we had a 3-hour open house where the public could come in, and the planning commission, along with Caitlin, pointed out 4 or 5 different stations of the main points of the master plan and different areas of the master plan where people could give their opinion and get insight. And we had between DDA members, council members, planning commission members, and public over 30 participants in a 3-hour period. And
On a horrible weather
on a
day.
horrible weather night,
Yeah.
on a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of forum going forward is a great tool. It kind of reminded me of the downtown Main Street effect a little bit that David had pushed early in his career. But just the overall, I know Angela was there for a couple hours. I was there for about an hour and a half. I saw Mindy there. Robert Miller was there. And people were just able to to sit around and talk about issues and get a good feel of the master plan.
Interactive.
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
And I encourage
Very
council,
well done.
and I encourage council members to look through the master plan that was emailed out today, to get a feel for our consensus meeting in a couple of meetings. So, and thank you for the time.
Yeah, I wish I could have attended. Life or death gets in the way. So, yeah, thank you for that presentation. I'm glad it went off as well as it did.
Very well done.
Yeah, I was really concerned because of the weather.
And hats off to Caitlin, our planner. That goes
Yeah.
without saying, but she's just a
Yeah.
fabulous resource.
She's as good as they come. She's terrific. Ed?
So, yeah, after viewing the master plan, one thing that was notable in there is how far Elmont has come. We made a couple comments today about that's not Elmont, well, Elmont's really changing. And so my hat's off to the DDA. I'm happy to see that you guys are using every tool and every resource you have to revitalize downtown and keep up with the growth. And we'll support that, as long as it makes logic and sense. And so thank you for everything you put together. I think we're heading in the right direction. But I also want to echo what Pete said. I really appreciated the phone call. I'm sorry I missed last meeting. My schedule was really crazy the last week, but it was nice to have just that one-on-one interaction, just get the heads up about things so I had time to digest it, come prepared with some questions, and I think that really helped me too. So thanks for the proactiveness on that behalf. So just kind of reinforced that we made the right decision right now. So, all right. So that is all I have.
Steve?
Yeah, I'd like to echo that. The personal phone call was nice to touch base. I also like having the weekly email, or however often you like to send them out. I think that was important to see the issues going on that don't necessarily make it to the agenda. And I did also want to point out, I did appreciate the seeing the additional revenue of the $200,000 extra dollars in interest. I noticed on the previous financial audit reports, we were getting like 0.01% interest. So Kim and Dale, thank you for taking a look at that. And that's all I had.
Okay, I have one more point, if you don't mind. When you talked about 50% of the rentals,
Go around the horn again.
was that 50% of realized rentals, or these were just discovered that, hey, we have these rentals that aren't reported? I guess for some clarification, when you said 50%. So.
Like me to respond? Okay.
Sure.
We had a list of rentals that we were aware of. CCA had a list of rentals that they have been interacting with, and there was 50% difference between them. So it looks like we have roughly 100 to 110 rentals, and CCA was following up on about 53 of them, and we had others that were not being followed up on. So that's why I'm.
So that's where the gap is in the,
Yes.
the inspection portion of it. It's
Right.
not just reported as an active rental within the.
Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that.
And then some of those that CCA have on their list were in what they call basically a holding pattern, where they hadn't inspected them, they had set its time, and those people never got back with them or didn't, arrange an inspection. So like I said, we're going to be moving that forward. And I think you will then definitely see an impact on some of our blight in town after those inspections are done and followed up on. So
Thank you for the clarification.
Okay, everybody else set? So I thought this was a terrific meeting, dealing with a really important village issue, where pluses and minuses were put right on the table, clearly expressed. A great presentation by DDA showing the very good work that the DDA is doing in our executive director, and public comment, which was terrific. Get some feedback there. And I'm so proud of this council, because every one of you was very thoughtful and expressed your concerns and sensitivities regarding the community. And every one of you was, I admired the role that you played as council members. this, we have a very good council, I think, and just what the discussion that went on this evening by council, and yeah, there was somewhat of a push to get this social district moved forward. On the other hand, everybody expressed their concerns, and I always try to do the best I can as far as reading a room is concerned. Like, let's give the opportunity for all of this to settle in, and in large part that was based upon the comments that came from each of the council members, and it was very proud of you, very proud of you. I'm pleasure to be serving with you all. I've made part of my life's mission to do public service, and this makes it worthwhile. We're adjourned.